I'm going to show you what we'll do first of all, of course, and then we'll dive in. Um, so we've worked from extremities, we've worked with floating arms, we've worked with flippering the feet, and there's this bridge between the arm and the extremities, and the torso and the tootsies, the the rest of it. The bridge being the pelvis and the shoulder blades. So good morning, Ruthie. Yay. So when they be in constructive rest, I'm going to do this way on. So I'm going to be in constructive rest, but there's an awful lot of exploration on your behalf here, but the widening is based on Raymond Dart's idea of unfurling. You know, there's the four contacts with the floor, which is pressing, brushing, unfurling, and there's one other one which I can't. But the most I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I know it's like pressing, brushing, unfurling, and no, it's gone. Spreading. That's right. That's the other one. So what you're going to use is the idea of unfurling and spreading, in particular with this exploration. Um, there's two parts to today's um, to today's dart. One of them is really straightforward and pretty easeful, and the other one is um, a challenging exploration. I'll show you the initial one first of all, which is the spreading or the unfurling. So in constructive rest, it's really exploring the shoulder and the shoulder girdle. So one at a time, one side at a time, have this come up and take just to allow it to come across here, and you'll see that the shoulder blade follows. So after it follows and it's come off the ground, then you can kind of play around with that. You can say, okay, where do you want to go, shoulder blade? Okay, how about there? And then you can unfurl it or spread it across the floor. And just that in itself is fun. You can do this a couple of times. Okay, where do you? And what that also it tells your brain is that it's nothing to do with the torso. I mean, you know, bonally, boniologically. So you like that boniologically. And then you can play with it like this. So the arm extends and you can just flip her a little bit. And then you can say to the torso, okay, you can move. So you move the whole of the torso and all of this, and just feel the length between the clavicle and this bit. And then there comes a point where you can go, oh, I can move this around here and unfurl it across. You see what's happened here. So this is actually lengthened as a result. So it's real fun, particularly if you have difficulties with this part of the dart procedures. When you roll onto one side, your shoulders are tight. So in any position here, I can just let this roll here and let my shoulder blade go, oh, actually, I'm all right. Imagine the lengthening across the clavicle and then, so we're going to spend a good amount of time doing that. Then we're going to do the same side with the pelvis. You sink down on one side, and then as you sink down on this side, the leg comes up. And then what you're going to do is, or I invite you to do, is you're going to let the pelvis kind of seek the floor in the same way as your shoulder blade did. Let it unfurl and let the weight of the leg come into this joint to confirm that. And you can do this a couple of ways. What I encourage you to do is also imagine your tail wagging. So your tail is going to wag, but also your pelvis is going to move accordingly. You'll see this. Is this making sense? And the pelvis here also is movable aside from the sacrum. I think it's a 5%, like a 5-degree movement. And so you can play with that 5-degree and then just unfurl it across the floor. And then after you've done that, just have a sensation of what this whole side feels like. So that's part one. Part two, after we've done some, if we get to it.
We're going to talk about this while we're doing it?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I'm showing you because my descriptive powers sometimes don't cover it. Yeah. That's why.
Some people are visual and some people are.
Thank you, Ruthie. Yes, exactly.
And then
I heard it, but whether or not it'll.
Yeah, for sure. No, like
I do. Okay, good. I'll look at it.
the other
Oh.
when it's okay. The other one is this is a little more tricky. You're going to come to here, and you're going to come up onto here and bring your hands behind. And then you're just going to find a fold. Now find a fold and try and keep this, maintain this upwards motion, maintain this loose, which is really tricky. It's really fun to feel how the butt switches on in response to falling. Right? So you just keep going, keep going, keep going. And if there's a point where you're going, oh, I have to support myself, then you just let your arms come down. And then come down into this position. And we're just going to do some gentle rolling around here. Yeah, let the head rolls. Yeah. I am so pleased that someone has said that because, I'm always worried that it's like, but in this, you're going to see if you can unfurl your skull across the floor. In the same way as you unfurl this girdle, do the same thing with this. So there's a place here, with the temporal lobe where you're just going to let that sit. Yeah, blah blah blah. Sorry, is luxurious. But if you accept the challenge here, there's also you can play with this folding. So when you come up, you're going to do the same thing. So you can carry on, carry on, carry on, carry on, carry on. See how far down you can go. This is fun because the spine wants to do things, but you're just going to continue. You're going to continue. Till you get to there. And if you really, if you're into it, if you want to try it, you can also try and come up from there. The wonderful thing about this process here of sinking in here as you come down and releasing is that when it comes to standing, when you actually come to standing and walking, it's the same thing. It's the same deal. If I'm in a squat, if the floor is here, you'll see how this could be the floor. So I'm unfolding in the same way as I am on the floor. Does that make sense? Okay. yeah. And note that the propensity is to do this, to tighten in here as you go forward, which of course is the antithesis of what the structure actually is designed to do. So the reason why this is a fun exploration is to hear how your particular pattern switches on all the way down. I mean, I can feel so blah blah blah. That's the set of fun challenges for this morning.
So James, how are you holding your hands behind your back?
I'm just having them like that, just crossed. Yeah, I mean, I'm like I reach down, but I'm also I'm using my hands to say, hey tail, wag a bit. Hey tail, wag a bit, wag. So I can use my own hands to do kind of hands-on encouragement to release, to send away. This is all about lengthening. So even as you're going down here, you're still trying to listen to how all of this can lengthen in its structure. Yeah. Okay. But first off, have some constructive rest time.
Thank you.
You can use that. We'll see how the level looks this morning via. Yeah, I'll try this one. Yeah, that's the one. So just go through in your mind's eye what is in contact with the floor at the moment. So there's the back of the head. The points that are in contact with the shoulder blades. The earth welcoming your body. Then the points of your elbows in contact with the floor. And between those 5 points now, just bring your mind to the distances between those points. And since we're talking about unfurling this morning, imagine unfurling between those points and what that might feel like right now. You don't have to do anything, you're just going to allow that to happen. You're going to allow spreading. So on the in-breath, you can bring your mind to what is foreshortening between those points. And then on the out-breath, and see if you can let that tension go and allow lengthening. And then There's the 1, 2, or 3 points that are at the pelvis. You're going to bring your mind to those points. And see if you can allow on the out breath the idea of the pelvis spreading and widening. I have permission to use my hands. And then there's the 3 points of each foot. There's the heel, the soft contact point behind the big toe, and the soft contact point behind the little toe. And in that tripod, you're just going to allow lengthening between all those points in the tripod. Yeah. There's an interesting idea here as well of how thought processes go. That there is belief systems or ideas that you might have trundling through your mind at the moment. And you're going to give credence to those things, of course. Is that okay if I use my hands? Okay. In the same way that you have thought systems that create muscular action, you can observe those thought systems that cause beliefs. And you can observe those and ask yourself if you like those beliefs, in the same way that you can ask yourself whether you like an action. Yeah. Yeah. And if you find the knees being up too much of a challenge to hold for a long time, then let the legs extend. Don't feel like you have to. It's not a knees in the air competition. There isn't there isn't a golden cup for powering through. So bring your the fun thing about constructive rest is how the weight of the femur in the pelvis and the weight of the tibia and fibula into the foot gives permission for lengthening in order to send the knees away. So the knees can float up to the ceiling as a result of gravity. Yeah. Hello, Jackie. Is that okay if I use my hands? Okay. So now you have all these points that are laid out, and what Dart thought of in constructive rest as anchor points from which the structure can release and melt away into the floor. And the question is, how is that possible? How does that happen? Well, from that way of thinking, it's about non-doing. And the difficulty of the concept of non-doing is that tension decreases sensitivity. And so you might be doing when you don't know that you're doing what you're doing. And so when we're exploring these slow movements this morning, it is a way of revealing what you may be doing in your shoulder girdle or in your pelvic girdle so that you can have the choice to not do that. Any of Dart's movements basically come down to the idea of self-revelation so that you have agency to not follow the patterns of tension that are just survival patterns or ways of doing that you've developed over the years, which could be the result of you being right-handed or left-handed. Or needing to do things. Is that okay if I use my hands, Ruthie? So now we're going to work on one side and allow one hand to just come up and cross over the center line. And begin to come off the floor towards the opposite shoulder. And so you are unfurling away from the floor here. And when you find a moderately free and balanced place across there, just play around with how your shoulder blade interacts with that position. And then I invite you to explore how, if it comes down to rest a little bit, the arm comes down, the new position of the shoulder blade in contact with the floor. And the game here then becomes how the arm comes across there and how the arm unfurls across the floor. So you can really sense how mobile and full of possibilities the shoulder blade is with that movement. You can play with that a couple of times. Always reminding yourself that the shoulder blade is not part of the rib cage. And as you unfurl across the floor, having a mind for where the arm starts, which is, of course, that joint, the clavicle. The clavicle joint being the sternoclavicular joint there, that bit in the middle. So, yes, beautiful movement, Ruthie. Yeah, that's really, really great. And also, I mean, the real game is about how the muscles across the back unfurl across the floor and melt as a result, or how the relationship between the shoulder blade and the neck is melted away. Hmm. And then if you have your arm extended across the floor, you can then play with the idea that your torso will tilt over to the opposite side, and you can feel the shoulder blade and the shoulder girdle come off the floor in such a way that you can adjust and listen to the shoulder blade. Yes, exactly, Via. Beautiful. Yeah. As it comes away from gravity, as your torso moves opposite to the direction of the extended arm, you can play with the rotation of that shoulder blade and the shoulder girdle in response to the movement of the torso. Can I use my hands, Hal? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that is great. You. Sure. Okay, so then just let that hand come back to rest, starting position, and just have a little sense of the difference between the contact of one shoulder blade now in contact with the floor and the other shoulder blade in contact with the floor. See what you can sense the difference between the two sides, and you may even feel a difference between the side of your face or the side of your neck. And then allow your mind to come into the pelvis. It's going to be the same side, same leg that's going to come off the floor, but you begin by sinking the pelvis down on the opposite side. So if you're working on the right-hand side, you're gonna sink the left side pelvis into the floor. And then as you sink the right side pelvis, then the knee will come up. And it's the same on the opposite side. If you're working on your left-hand side, sink the right-hand side into the floor and then sink the left hand. So you can ease that. Yes, yes, that leg floats up. And then you're going to use the weight of that leg to unfurl the pelvis, the iliac crest, and the sacrum. So you can play with that little joint there, allowing, yes, beautiful. That is great. Yes, exactly. That's beautiful. So you can allow that leg to unfurl the pelvis, even to find lengthening. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah. And you can then gradually let that foot come back down onto the ground to see how the two sides are different and play with it a little bit more. See if you can rock the pelvis in such a way that you find lengthening in the quadratus lumborum, the lumbar curve, and gets a little bit of lengthening along there. Because the pelvis is no longer constricted to the lumbar. And when you've experimented with that, just have a listen to the difference between the two sides. It's always interesting to note as well the connection between the folding of the pelvis and the sinking of the pelvis, so that the pelvis gets support from the earth, so that there is in chakra point terms, the root chakra is given the information that it's connected to the planet, which allows release. And also allow your tail to just have a wag and wiggle across the floor. And imagine that you have a cat's tail that's going through, just flicking. And then we're going to begin on the other side. Once you've had the experience of that side, let the information that you've had from the side that you've just done then come into the exploration on this side. So the new hand that you're going to use is just going to float up to the ceiling and then come across the body. And I'm going to begin the process again. And as it comes across the body, you're going to ask that shoulder. Now, part of this is, I was asked by one of the folks that come, how can I expand across the shoulder girdle without hands on? Well, this is a way of doing that. You're actually using the structure of your own system to invite lengthening across the shoulder girdle. Yeah, yes. So the shoulder is that scapula is having so much fun just sliding around. And know what happens to the rest of the structure as the scapula unfurls across the floor. You're finding a new position for that position of your arm through the movement of your scapula. Hmm. Yeah. And if you have extended that arm across one side and given it that freedom to move or the choice to move, then you can begin to ask the rest of the torso to move away from the scapula and the arm structure, just to see how you can give more freedom by lengthening away from the arm. You can turn the whole torso away from that extended arm. Or you can continue exploring with the floating arm. It's, yeah. Or you can do what you want. I mean, there's no as you will. Mm. And as the torso comes away from that arm, you can bring to mind again the extension of the clavicle. The clavicle is given license to move, but the bony connections are integrated but also liberated. So there is an integration there which allows lengthening. And you can flipper that arm up and down in order to explore how the scapula can move within this kind of physical configuration. Yes, exactly. Yeah, beautiful. I'm going to also just give you some a fun little uh, thing about the relationship with the serratus in there. Yeah, that's fun, isn't it? a little a little hello serratus. So serratus go. Yeah. Serratus. Yes, there's lengthening along there. Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah, great. serratus goes. Eee. You. Yes. Cool. Okay. Nice work. Really, really, really great. Mm-hmm. And then you can let that hand just come to rest on your torso and do the same thing with that other leg. I'll let that. So you're going to work from the opposite side of the pelvis. You're going to let that sink down so that that leg sinks. As it sinks down, the knee comes up. Just counter to intuition, really. It kind of is weirdly nonsensical, the way that as the pelvis sinks, the knee comes up. I guess it makes sense. Yeah. And as you move that floating leg around, just tilt it one way or tilt it down so you can just let the pelvis look for a way of unfurling across the floor. There might be a few different ways in which the pelvis moves across the floor. And there might be some fun revelations about fun revelations about the way that the tail moves, the way that the sacrum unfurls across the floor. There's a lot of tucking the tail in daily life or overextending the tail. And here you're just going to let the tail just lengthen and unfurl across the floor. And as the tail and the pelvis unfurls, spreads, you can also let the butt spread. You can also let the big major muscles spread, particularly as that foot just comes back in touch with the floor. And it's like, melt it all away. And then just have a moment to feel how both sides of the body feel. See what has changed. Note what has changed. Note what tensions you may have uncovered. And allow them just to be breathed away. Okay, so just to do a little bit of extending one hand up above your head, grab the top of your head so that you're really looking and cradling the top of your head, while the other hand removes the block if you have a block there. Just going to get that out of the way and lay your head nice and easy, that big top joint down on the floor. Okay. So you're gonna pick which side you most like the look of, and you're gonna let one hand come up next to that side, and you're gonna look that way and roll onto that side. And as you roll, have a mind for your shoulder girdle. So you still have that consciousness of the shoulder girdle and the pelvic girdle as you roll over onto that arm. Look that way and just have a little roll. Nice. Yes. Wonderful. Really graceful. That's Excellent. And then give that a little rock backwards and forwards there. And in this, because we're bringing consciousness to the shoulder girdle, just have a mind for where the shoulder blade is at the moment. Because we have a mind for the pelvis, just have a mind for where the pelvic girdle is at the moment as you rock yourself backwards and forwards on there. Beautiful, exactly. So as you do that, you can have a sense of how the trochanter has weight that sinks into the pelvis, and how the shoulder girdle has weight that allows lengthening. Yeah. Yes, that's it. And then we're going to roll over and have a little moment on our backs. Just a little moment. Once again, it's about noticing what you notice. Yeah, great. And then you're going to come over onto the other side. You know, look over that way. There's a game of sardines going on over here. Yeah. Oh, that's cute. Really, really nice. Beautiful. And really, as you rock, let that inform the connection between the points. And this can also be on the knees and the feet. You can sense the weight connection with the planet is informative. It allows you to be integrated in order to release. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. There. You feel this. Let's see it. Yeah. That. Yeah. Okay, so now gonna just continue onto your front and shunt yourself a little bit onto the towel. And normally we do a little bit of prone, but we are slightly constricted by time. I'm going to do a little moment of prone, and then we're going to send the pelvis back in a moment. Just see what you can release in prone right here, just for a second. Yeah. You're going to bring your hands, I invite you, I should say, to bring your hands underneath your shoulders now. And before you move, just for a second, see if you can imagine where your shoulder blades are. Yes, exactly. And see where the fullness of your back is in relationship to your shoulder blades. Oh, yes, Fire. Exactly. Great searching. And then bringing your mind to your pelvis in the same way, you're going to send your tail backwards and see if you can keep the contact of your forehead in contact with the floor as you send your pelvis back. So you're going to fold in the pelvis. And there's a point here quite often where it's like, I can't believe this. There is no way this is going to happen. But let me assure you, if you keep your hairline in contact there, you keep the structure of your back. Yes. And you might need to move your hands back a little bit more for more support. Oh, that's beautiful. Yes. And bring your hands back, slide those hands back. And this is why we have a towel, by the way. It's one of the reasons why towel is, yes, Via. So fill your back here. That's it. Fill your back there. Yes. Yes. That's it. And keep your head in contact with the floor. Move your hands back. Yep, that's it. It's brilliant. Decorum. Yeah. So have your hairline in contact with the floor, and just you can do a little roll there, a little roll of the head. Just do that. It's the same idea of unfurling the bones of your skull in contact with the floor. You're giving information to your trigeminal nerve to say, hey, everything is fine. You're going back to that tiny baby that is that at first when laid down in the cot or whatever felt the contact with the linen. The baby rolled the face, the head with free joints. There's free joints because the skull is basically built out of the same things that your spinal column is. And what you're doing is you're just inviting the same movement. Yes, great. Great work. And then see if you can just push a little bit further back. And have your knees slightly apart. And then you're going to come onto your haunches. Yes. Yeah, that's it. Maintaining that. Yes. There you go. Beautiful. Yes. So you can have your knees apart a little bit. As this is the tricky one. You're going to fold in that position and see if you can just let the forehead come into contact with the floor. And it's really, honestly, truly, I found this most difficult of the of the positions, because there is this point where there is there's a teeter-totter thing where you're just like, well, no, I need to put my hands down or there you go. Yeah, Jackie. Yeah. Isn't it fun? Yes, beautiful. Oh, you're all much better than I was at it, I gotta say. Yes, gorgeous. And so here is the real fun challenge is, as you begin to descend, ask yourself, what can I let go of as a result of this movement? And also to ask yourself, where am I holding myself in my shoulder girdle, the length of my spine, and in my pelvic girdle in particular? What can I let go of as I go down? Yeah. How can I? Yes, Jackie. Beautiful. Yes. Huh?
No, it's the getting up.
Yeah. The getting up is really tricky, and there is that thing about pulling yourself into a position, but there's also, and I'll give this the sinking in there is a key. Sinking in there in order to release. Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Great. Really, really wonderful work, folks. Yeah. Sinking. Yeah. Really great work. Awesome. Uh, Yep, I did that many, many, many times. I don't understand how you were all doing this so easily. I would kathunk every.
I worried about my nose watching the
Yeah. So sinking in there, or lengthening along here. And the to me, there is a place where the spine will actually float. The spine will allow floating as a result of coming up. So yeah, okay, blah blah blah. So one more time, and this time as you come down, you're just going to let the arms flop, so that you can do a little bit of crawling, and then invite a similar ascent with the same idea of unfolding. Yeah. Yep. Very nice. Yeah, it's fun just letting the arms flop down. They're just like, wee. Yeah. Yeah. Keep this back full. Yes, there you go. And then bringing that foot up. Yep. So same idea. It's the fold here. Yep. Bring the other foot under. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. Still folding. Yes. Same idea. Beautiful. Yep, yep, yep. Yes. Still folding. Still folding. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very nice. Very nice. So, in a very, very practical way, this game, it reminds you of this fold, which means that when you go to pick up stuff, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. You fold. And it's freedom of movement, it really is freedom of movement. It also invites the freedom of the shoulder blade as you pick things up. It is not, you're not held as you fold to pick something up. Okay, friends.